Hi there, and welcome to the Multiply You podcast, where we showcase top experts in their space and reveal all the secrets you need to know to multiply you.
Hey everybody, Austin Clark here. I'm the host of the Multiply You podcast, where I talk with top leaders in business. Today we've got a great special guest. His name is Jeremy Weiss of Rise 25. He's done thousands of interviews with successful entrepreneurs and CEOs. And today we flipped the script and Jeremy will be interviewing me. Jeremy, glad to have you on.
Thank you, Austin. I'm excited about this because this is kind of a topic you talk about in your book, which is the E-Myth Pest Control Contractor, why most pest control companies don't work and what to do about it. And this topic specifically, we're going to talk about money, right? With any business should be focused on this, right? If we don't have money, it's like oxygen, right? So before we talk and dig into this episode is brought to you by Moxie Pest Control. And I know, Austin, for you, the number one focus is you and your team buying other pest control businesses. So if anyone out there knows of someone with a pest control business, typically I would say, Austin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's 3 or more trucks on the road. It's a respectable brand. You would like to talk to them. And you were telling me a story about Randy, who's in business for 30 years. He wasn't interested in selling, and he never thought he could sell his company for what you actually end up paying for it. And he's actually living an amazing life. And so if you have questions, you can email Austin at aclark@moxiepestcontrol.com. Or you can text him directly at 480-254-9730. If you go to their website and their national team and email them, he will not get it. So make sure to email him directly. So Austin, the topic of money, I want to take people through what life was once like for you. And there was a time when you didn't have it all figured out and things were kind of crazy. Can you start us there?
Yeah, you got it. And I like what you said, kind of relating money to oxygen. It is exactly that, and it's not just money, right? Specifically, it is profit. Profit is what makes businesses go round, and responsible companies, in my opinion, they are extremely profitable. And so there's not really anything necessarily special about a $100 million company if your expenses are $100 million and 1 cent, right? That's, I think that most would probably much rather be running a $1 million company with a 10% profit margin. And so profit is very much so like oxygen or blood is, to the body as profit is to a business. And so, yeah, I shared this with you a while ago, but there was, and this is kind of an ugly, embarrassing story, but I want to share it to help people not do that. And my wife will be embarrassed if she hears this too, because she was kind of involved. But I mean, push came to shove, and there was a time, and it's not like it was 20 years ago. My company in Phoenix is 9 years old, and so this was probably 6, maybe 7 or so years ago. We were growing. Top line was great. Sales were great. One thing that you need to know, if you don't know already, is that growth sucks cash. And so get your forecasting right and get your money right. And, we, at the end of the day, we did not have the money, the cash, to make payroll. I had taken out all of the loans I was willing to take out at the time. And, it'd be kind of interesting to go back and look, but I was short about $5,000 or like $5,500 or something like that. And so I went to, it's also kind of a funny story too, but my wife and we owned a car. I was using a company vehicle, and we owned it, and we took it to one of those checks cashed or title loan type places, where you give them the title to your vehicle, and they say, yep, it looks like your vehicle's worth 10 grand. And so we'll give you a third of that. They really give you a great deal. And then your interest rate I think is like 5,000%. And so we did that with our vehicle, and we took the money that we needed, the 5 grand or $5,500, and put it into the account and paid employees. If anyone has had any luck not paying employees and then being like excited about that, let me know. But in my years, and it doesn't take years to find out, but employees like to be paid. Everyone likes to be paid for the work that they've done, and so that's just not an option to not pay people. The funny part of that story is that, well, first of all, it was so painful that I resolved then and there to never, ever, never, ever, ever get into that kind of situation ever again. Even if it were for a good cause, right? If you will, sales are great, the revenue is there, the profits will follow and will come. But that left an impression and painful lesson for me to know that I never wanted to be in that situation again, ever. The funny part of the story is that this place probably, I think they probably just stopped calling me and emailing me like a year ago. But we took the money, did the thing with the title loan place, repaid them 1 week later, right, in full, once the cash was there. And I think I was the best client they've ever had. So they wanted me to come and do business with them more, because I don't know if they had ever had a loan repaid that quickly. They would call me weekly, email me all the time. And, I'm glad not to be in that market, if you will, anymore. But that was an experience that was interesting, painful, hard. And so you want to get your money right. You want to get your cash right.
Did you have to go back afterwards? Did they give you your car back? Or
So
how did that work?
So the way that works, and I know from experience, you don't give them your car, you give them the title. So they become the owner of your car.
So you're making payments back to them with a huge amount of interest. I see.
Payments back.
I'm picturing you leaving the car like, oh my God, walking home.
Me and my wife walking home. It's 1,000 degrees right in the summer in Arizona.
Talk about motivation to get the cash right. Like, we don't have our car anymore, but
I don't need to learn that lesson again.
It's only funny now because it's in the past and doesn't happen. But and I want to talk about, so what did you do to get the profit in line with the growth at that point? You're like, never again, right? You're successful as far as on the surface, as far as generating sales and gross revenue, but now you're like, I need to have precision with my profit at that point. So what do you do to put some of those things in place?
Yeah. So profit it's not a big, giant, complicated thing. It's a function of pricing, right? Or what you're charging for your good and or service. And then all of your costs associated with providing that good or service. And so in the pest space, and like a lot of home service type companies, and in a lot of companies in general, your largest expense is, and it's really an investment, but on the financial statements, but your largest expense is payroll. And so if the profit isn't where you want it to be, you do one of two of three things. You charge more for your service. Hopefully you're doing that because you're contributing and adding more value. And there's a variety of different ways that you can do that, right? So charging more for the product or good that you're offering, and then being able to justify that, right? Why? Or you can pay, in this scenario, employees less. I've also never had a positive conversation around that. Hey, Jeremy, thanks for all your hard work. To reward you, we're going to reduce what you're compensated by 30%. Get excited. You know what I mean? Or you can do both, right? So you either need your employees being more productive, doing more, or you need to increase prices because that all flows straight to the bottom line, or you do both. And then, depending on the business or what you do, are there multiple product offerings? Are there multiple segments that you offer? What other ways can you contribute to your key, to your key client?
So what did you decide to do over time?
we've done 1,000 different things, 1,000 different things. And so, while the top line is important, we've done exactly as I've told you. We've looked for ways first to be able to provide more value to our customers. And we've done that by opening up additional services that they have been asking for years, whether it's been termite services or weed services or emergency services like bees, bed bugs, whatever else. We've gone into different uh, categories, if you will, as far as industrial clients that will service, or commercial clients that will provide services to. And then really we just looked at those. It's not my goal at all to pay people less ever. In fact, we had a big quarterly event just last week, and one of the, I hope, big takeaways from that for all of our people was that we want to pay people much, much more than we're making. Our big, hairy, audacious goal at Moxie right now is to employ 300, or is that we've become the industry leader because we employ 300 families that are thriving and that are promoters. And so that's a real loaded, thing and sentence, and a lot of meaning behind each one of those words. But a family provider cannot be thriving or provide at 13 or 15 or 16 or whatever dollars an hour. And so it's our goal to, and why would you want minimum wage talent capability anyway, right? What if everyone that answered the phone was making 18, 20, whatever, right? A bunch of money, and not just because you want to just give money away, but because with your forecasting and that sort of thing, it's justified. It's justifiable, right? There, you are getting a better return at $20 an hour than you were with an employee at 13, even though the cost or perceived cost is close to double, right? And then we were doing some really, or I was doing some really silly things. We riled in our and just buttoned down on our P&L and what we were spending, and meals and entertainment, right? A building that might have been too big for what we needed at the time. We leverage technology in a better way. And so it's not just about cost cutting. Often it's about spending more money just in the right places. Technology is certainly a part of that. Your phone system is certainly a part of that. And as you can extrapolate those improvements over 10 CSRs or 50 CSRs, you know what I mean? That really moves the needle each quarter, each year, whatever.
Yeah, Austin, I was talking to the CEO of Top Grading, Chris Marceau, and he was saying exactly that. I mean, some companies consider him the gold standard for hiring, and he would say exactly what you said, which is if you pay people better, you have top talent, they could do the work of 3 people that you have that is C-level talent to A-level talent. And even if you're paying much more, you're getting, like you were saying, you could charge more to your customer, you could get more productivity from your staff. And that was what he was saying. Hire A-level people, A players, and you just get 2-3 times more productivity because they're A players, and they attract more A players.
That's
And
it. And you nailed it. Any business book you read, it says hire less people, pay them more. End of story. So that's
yeah.
that's a nugget right there for sure.
So charge more to the customer, more productivity from staff, different product offerings is another one that you did, and then expenses. Not only decreasing some expenses, but maybe moving them to where it makes sense that will move the needle. Do you remember, you mentioned a couple product offerings with the termite, the weed, the emergency services. From the expenses, what did you find moved the needle when you were looking closely at the expenses? Where did you move things around, or what did you decrease, or what did you increase there?
Yep. The biggest thing, and I would imagine it's probably true in any organization, is just to make sure is with payroll and with your employees. And so, I mean, maybe you need to, but I don't recommend having the "I'm paying you less now, Jeremy" conversation. Thank you for all of your hard work. I hope you're motivated to work harder. But have them doing things that are more productive. And so pay them the same, or heck, increase, take that C player, B player, and make them an A player. And so I love when people come to me and say, I'd like to make more. We'll put together a plan. We'll put together a performance improvement plan. And so that was the biggest piece right there. We really dove into our reoccurring expenses. Do we have multiple subscriptions? If so, why? Right. And so, some of those, you'll want to dig into some of those. Why do we have two of these kinds of subscriptions or two of these kinds of services? We only need one or none. Or, hey, could someone in house do that? Could we create a job internally? You know what I mean? And so you start to just find ways to just either do more with less, or do more with more. And so, if you're a business owner listening, I mean, they're all there. They're all there in your P&Ls. And so start going through what those look like, and understand that every dollar you spend, it's got to provide a return. And if not, you ought to think good and long and hard about why you're doing that, right? And I guess not finally, but it is beginning with the end in mind. And so what is the goal? Is the goal at the end of the year a 10% profit margin, a 5, a 20, like whatever, and then forecast and then work like a beast to make that happen, right? And then hit your forecast. So that doesn't just, I've not met anyone that's been ridiculously successful that just starts a year and ends a year and it ends exactly as they would have hoped or thought, and not put a tremendous amount of concerted effort and focus into that. And people's financials should be, it should be no different.
So thanks for walking me through that, and everyone else, Austin. So you go from selling the title on your car to make payroll, and then talk to me on you come out the other side by putting a combination of these things in place in the business from the money perspective. Talk about life after, meaning, I don't know, maybe a trip with the family or whatever. What does life look like after you've put all these things in place?
Yeah, I'm a really simple guy. I like simple things. I'm a family guy, and so I don't need a lot of types of things. But I can today, without a doubt, just say that everything is absolutely, totally turned around 100%. Last year, in the midst of a global pandemic, 2020, our company doubled in size, which is unusual, and we were able to still turn healthy profit. I like spending time with family. Just I don't even know if it was a week ago, but we were able to pick up and we went to Hawaii. We went to Oahu for 10 days. We quarantined. A little bit of that was inspired by our schools getting shut down. And so we thought, well, if there's online learning to be done, it could be done anywhere, I suppose. And so we went to Hawaii, and it was incredible. And we had wonderful experiences as a family, right? And we didn't need to worry about, will the credit card bounce or not make it through or whatever else. We did the things that we wanted to do. And so, for me, ultimately, cash is something that all of us should need and want, because we can exchange it for whatever it is. We can exchange it for time. We can exchange it for experiences. Cash alone by itself, it's paper, man. I mean, it's actually worthless. It's what you exchange for the cash that provides that value. And so, what are you into? Are you into things? Are you into vacations? Are you into family? Are you into, whatever it is? And so it's totally changed. I feel very humbled and blessed to be in a situation that we are, especially, being conscientious and just about what's happening globally right now. But I worry every day about money and profit, but it's not because there's not much of it around or we don't have it. It's more of me wanting to be an incredibly responsible steward of the money that's been entrusted to me, because there's a lot of people that count on me as far as our customers go or employees go. And, as much as I want to provide an incredible life for me and my family, there have been just a tremendous amount of people along the way that have made that a possibility for me inside of the company. And so our employees are amazing, and it's fun and very rewarding to be able to reciprocate. And there's been, neat things along the way that we've been able to do, and a lot more neat things, coming their way.
Last question, Austin. And if people have questions, you can email, check out other episodes of the podcast, of course. You can email aclark@moxiepestcontrol.com. Also, I'm wondering some of your favorite books or mentors around this topic of money.
Yeah, certainly. I talk about Vern Harnish's Scaling Up all the time. There's a section in there. It's entitled Cash. There's also another section or chapter in there entitled that talks about accounting. And so a lot of those are kind of intermingled. Incredible book. It's great. There's one, I'm forgetting the author. It's The Pricing or Confessions of a Pricing Man, I think, is what it's called. Lots of great nuggets in there. And then also, depending on the size and where one's at, it may be time to kind of upgrade some of your professional type services, like bookkeeping, your tax person, your accountant, your CFO sort of thing. Those people are tremendously valuable.
And thank you. I also, last thing, want to point out, if you haven't checked out the book, E-Myth Pest Control Contractor, Why Most Pest Control Companies Don't Work and What to Do About It, check it out. This is, Austin's riffing about it and talking about it. So check it out as well. So Austin, thank you so much for having me.
Hey, you got it. You too. Thanks so much, Jeremy.
Thank you for listening to the Multiply You podcast. You'll see us again soon when you subscribe for future episodes.